responsibility of a creator, well, here's the thing. Creators don't understand yet. Most creators don't get why we're doing this at all. So to understand all of this, I think I'll stand on this arch. This is a nice little area. I can just look around. I think to really understand what's happening here, you have to understand where the creators are coming from and how this is all happening and where they end up in the cycle. Nobody talks about the cycle of a creator because oftentimes when people go through this cycle, they disappear from the cycle. They don't come back like I do. I'm a cockroach, and I'm okay calling myself a cockroach. I don't die. I have lived through many YouTube apocalypses and all sorts of things. But here's what the cycle is.
Okay. Welcome to Passage. Our guest today is a certified internet legend. Cory Williams was YouTube famous so early he was probably uploading via dial-up. Even featured on the front page of the New York Times as one of YouTube's top earners. He is the mad scientist behind a whole multiverse of channels, collectively pulling in hundreds of millions of views, and at least a few confused relatives wondering what he actually does for a living. Cory is constantly at the forefront of emerging platforms and formats, from a MySpace sponsorship back in 2005. Yes, that MySpace. You'll always be in my top 5, Cory. All the way to today, where Cory is a thought leader at the bleeding edge of Unreal Engine creators, building viral IP through virtual production. Welcome, brother.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, it's a pleasure. I am excited just to talk through some of your experience along this 2-decade-long journey and more. I mean, you've been creating, I'm sure, as long as you've been alive. First question, just super high level. What do you think are some of the biggest changes creators are facing, having seen, a large swath of this internet journey? What's some of the biggest stuff that you've seen?
Oh man, that's a huge question. Because I mean, I've been making basically internet videos since 1999, so it's been a lot of years. And then YouTube, since 2005, I'm the first professional YouTuber. So like, what have the changes been? It's like we're talking, 24, 25, I don't know how many years it's been, that many years. But I think if you're speaking like the last 5 years or so, the big one has been that YouTube and social media in general has just gotten so big. It has now obviously become larger than streaming services. Like I've been working specifically in the kids space, and that's a huge one for me. It's just become so large that I feel like Hollywood is having a very hard time keeping up. And I feel like the traditional industry, they're still relevant. There's still a lot of great things in the industry because we need that. We need that, just like we need books, just like we need radio, just like we need, a lot of the Broadway plays. We all fit. But I think right now people are starting to understand the power of what social media and content creators have. And then that's the biggest shift as we're being taken seriously, finally, after all these years of really being, they didn't always believe in us. Let's just say that. It was very hard for me early on. But yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. But I think now what we're struggling with because of this is this people are lost in the shift. People are lost trying to figure out where they belong in all of this. Should I be chasing the traditional industries that I grew up watching and loving and enjoying while they're crashing and burning right now because they're trying to figure out themselves? Or should I try to launch myself? And people, because I know you're looking for a simple answer, but nope.
No, I love this.
But people right now they're trying to understand who they are. We are all actively trying to figure out where we all want to go, but no one person or company or thing is inspiring the world to do one thing right now. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like television, man, we had so many different TV shows, back it up. Let's go to the 90s. But let's focus on the 90s. The 90s, there were the 5-6 major networks, and then we had a couple of other ones, right? And it's like whatever was on TV, that's what you watched. Okay, we're watching Star Trek tonight. Okay, we're watching this other show, the Married with Children, or whatever it was that you grew up watching. That's what there was. The Simpsons. But now, fast forward to the early 2000s, wait, all of a sudden we've added a ton of new channels to our satellite television, and cable has gotten bigger, and to the point where there were so many channels and so many TV shows, there was nothing to watch. How is that possible? That in the 90s, there was always something to watch because we were fed what we were fed, and that's all there was, and that's what there was to watch. Or we went outside and we did stuff. 2000s, we got bombarded with new channels. Suddenly we had nothing to watch. We have a lot. Well, now all that on steroids, because now there is so much to watch. It's impossible to keep up with everything. What are you being inspired by? What is leading you forward? Because everybody has a different inspiration and a different path, and everybody wants to be themselves and create themselves. But we in this odd way, we are a bunch of sheep trying to lead the herd, every single one of us, in this odd way. And so that's our struggle, is we collectively as a society are having identity issues right now. We are trying to figure out who we are together collectively as a society, which is causing not only problems in our industry, but politically and personal self-awareness and or self-love. They're just, it's huge. It's so big. It's hard to really grasp all of it. So what's been the change? How do you explain that in a short paragraph?
No, I love that. I mean, it's a paradigm shift, right? Like that, and that makes sense, because the thing that has changed most is not one factor, right? It's not like one piece of the puzzle. The way we put the puzzle together has fundamentally changed. And the human element is constant, right? We are still humans seeking purpose and meaning and relationship. But yeah, the way that we connect has fundamentally changed. It's like the Uber moment, right? For content creation. And I think what you said specifically about the platform dynamic is huge, right? Because it was kind of, first it's a subtle shift. First it's a shift from a few channels that we all watch together. And there's this common culture of like, whatever the evening show that you're watching is. But then, first it's just a quantitative change where it's like, okay, now more channels. Okay, I can understand less channels to more channels and how that might change things. But then going from more channels to infinite channels to micro influencers in these particular niches. And I can be a content creator as somebody who vends Pokemon cards, right? Like that's where I'd say the paradigm shift is, that now anyone can be a creator. So and also, like you said, I do believe there is a place for each industry, for the Hollywood productions, for the indie productions, for the books, for the physical events and the virtual interactions, all these things. But yeah, it is, I think that platform shift that is huge, where now the creators have so much opportunity, so much control. It changes the game totally.
Yeah. Here was something very interesting that happened sort of earlier in my career. I was doing this thing where I'd be on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. They would call me in, I would do these stunts, and that's just a thing that I did every now and then. It was fun. But one of the nights that I was there attending, I was on with Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey, absolute comedy legend, right? Somebody that I looked up to, inspired me hugely in my career. And he was promoting the movie 23. And what he was saying, Jim, he was like, he says, and he wasn't saying this to me, he was saying this on the show. And then later on, we had a conversation after the show. But he said to Jay, he said, someday, and this is 2000, I don't know when 23 came out, whatever. He said that someday everyone is going to have their own channel. Everyone is going to be famous. Everyone is going to have the ability to da-da-da-da-da. And I was sitting in the green room going, Jim, you have no idea. You have no idea what is about to happen. Like, I could see the future. And that time I knew it was going to happen, because I think I was number 7 most subscribed in the world on YouTube, which then wasn't that big of a deal. But it was like, I saw everything. I saw where it was going. I ended up being right, which I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. But that's part of being a pioneer, is helping to grow that, right? And I've always been community driven, so I help people do that. Like, that's my goal in life. That's my intention for being here. But after Jim had said all of that, I had goosebumps. I said, okay, I got to talk to Jim. So then show was off air, and I walked up to Jim. I said, Jim, that was fantastic. What you said, everything. He goes, hey man, it's really great. Yeah. And I was like, hey, I'm actually one of the people that you're talking about right now. I was like, I'm here because of this. And I'm, a very well known on the internet. He's like, really? I wonder if I've seen your stuff. I'm like, well, chances are. I mean, have you spent some time on YouTube? He's like, oh, yeah, I watch some YouTube. And I was like, yeah, like I'm I've done a couple things here and there. He goes, oh man, I'll go check out your stuff, and being Jim Carrey, he is. And but he's a sweet guy. But the thing was, it was like this moment where I saw traditional Hollywood and myself in this way being the representative for this new media that was arriving. And we had this connection for just that moment. And I was like, how crazy is this universe right now? Just showing this, like giving me this opportunity to feel this and to see that somebody in that industry who is a leader understands what's happening. Obviously, Jim is going through a lot of his own things, right? And I understand Jim on another level that I think most people probably don't. And I'm not to say that I'm like any special, but like in terms of like, I've been through the industries, not just I obviously through traditional media, YouTube, all that. I've been through, man. I've seen talent. I've had experiences that it would sound like a complete lie if I told you half of them. Some of the things that I've experienced in my life. And then I've been through traditional stuff. I've done movies. I've had a TV show on national cable network. I've done all of these things, and here we are now in today's environment, and me still shifting and doing other things. It's like I'm seeing the world as I saw it then, but being a part of it now is like, whoa, this got way bigger than I even thought it was going to be. But now I feel like my job has become much more important than just being another creator in the system. My job is to help be this lead by example mentor in this way. Like I feel like my reason for being here right now is to encourage people to continue and to encourage people to find themselves and to find the happiness, because all that matters at the end of the day with all of this stuff we're doing is we're just entertaining each other, and we're trying to find our own self-worth, because a lot of us don't know where to go and we're misled, and a lot of people are sheep, and we don't want to admit it. But we need that. So I feel like what I have done with my life is said, I found meaning and purpose in my own life. And all I want to do now is help other people understand how to find it for themselves, so they don't have to have that feeling of chasing. So they don't have to have that feeling of I'm a sheep and I don't know where to go. It's like, no. Like inside of you, it doesn't matter, sheep, whatever you are an individual that you can love yourself and you can lead yourself. And so get out of the sheep mentality and try to find. Anyway, it goes deep and wide, and I know I'm going to.
No. I love it. This
crazy,
is great.
but
I want to dig into that for just a second too. How do creators? This is like way off of like where I thought we'd go with this, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. How do creators facilitate that? Like, because to me I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated with the creator world, because you can have these little. We're made for community as humans, right? We were made to be part of a flock, right? Yep. The sheep metaphor is so good because there's something, it sounds derogatory, but there's something natural and purposeful about it, right? We're made to have community, and to have, leaders in different areas who show us this, who example this to us. So it's a good analogy. And there's something fascinating about having these microspheres of influence where you can have this deep relationship with somebody who also has, it's weird because it feels deep. It feels like you're really connected to the creator, and yet they're connected to millions of other people, right? And so like that is so unique. Being able to, when Plato, Socrates, or these great influential minds were writing letters, and like they couldn't convey themselves, right? They could convey ideas. There's so many things that they could translate that have lasted thousands of years. And yet today we have this unique opportunity to convey so much about ourselves, about our lives, the little things that make us up as humans. What is the responsibility or role of creators in what you just described there? This kind of like, helping people to find meaning. And I know it's interesting, in some ways you're doing this for creators, but then creators also do that for individuals. What does that dynamic look like? What's the responsibility of a creator?
Responsibility of a creator is, well, here's the thing. Creators don't understand yet. As wide as this says, most creators don't get why we're doing this at all. A lot of them do it because they just love it, and that's fine. A lot of them do it because they want to make a lot of money. A lot of them do it because they don't want to work a 9-to-5 job and do all that regular stuff. A lot of them do it because it seems easy. A lot of them do it because they want to be famous or cool or respected in some way. A lot of them do it because they're neurodivergent and it's just a lot easier for them. There's a lot of reasons why a lot of people do the things that they do. But it's not until you get older that you start to understand things different. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk while we talk. We'll walk and we'll talk. So it's always good. I used to live in Alaska, and I love to just like walk and explore. We won't go too far. I just want to see a little bit. But I want to speak on that. But again, the answer that I feel like I would give is going to be too long, but I feel like it's an important answer. So what do I give you the short answer that it's like you probably expect, or the long answer?
No, go for it, please.
So to understand all of this, I think I'll stand on this arch. This is a nice little area. I can just look around. I think to really understand what's happening here, you have to understand where the creators are coming from and how this is all happening and where they end up in the cycle. Nobody talks about the cycle of a creator, because oftentimes when people go through this cycle, they disappear from the cycle. They don't come back like I do. I'm a cockroach, and I'm okay calling myself a cockroach. I don't die. I have lived through many YouTube apocalypses and all sorts of things. But here's what the cycle is. Person is inspired. They find inspiration in what someone else is doing in some way, shape, or form, and they want to be like that. They want to have that feeling too for themselves. And no matter what the motive is, money, fame, they just want to tell a story. They go, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to make some videos. The first few videos they make never really take off. Usually, right? Unless lightning strikes, in which case I feel so terrible for people who have lightning strikes early. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But they start creating. And as they create, they start to gain people here and there. These people in the audience who show up and start their first comment, all that, they get these real connections with these people, real true connections where they go, I know you, and you're so great. I want to come to your house someday. It's like that. Like my first connection that I have, her name is Emma. She lives in Australia, and literally I still talk to her today. Like I love him. I've been to her house. Like I took my mother to her house in Australia and we hung out, so like there's that connection that you have. Over time as a creator, you start expanding. What else can I do? And you start understanding a little bit more about yourself and things you're capable of. And then you get discovered, whether it be through the algorithm or somebody loved your stuff and started sharing it or whatever. Everybody eventually, if they continue, they go viral, and whatever viral means to them. Viral means many things to many people. But they go viral. And then that's the first change that happens inside of them. They go viral, and all of a sudden they taste something they've never tasted before. They taste this attention. They taste this approval that's so deep inside of all of us that we don't realize we have until you have like thousands, millions of people saying, I love you, you're doing a great job. That's an approval level that's like a drug. And then once you get that approval, you're like, great. But after the first video, typically it subsides. It kind of goes away. You try to replicate it, and oftentimes you can't do it, especially when you're a new creator and you don't have the guidance or whatever. Like, and then you go, what did I do? I got to do something bigger. And so they start to change who they are to try to appeal to that, because again, that feeling, that dopamine rush is a drug, a natural drug, but a drug. And so they start chasing it. And guess what? They find it. Because they're fed, they're hungry, they get more hungry, and they chase it, they grow. The Emmas in the world become distant friends. They start, there aren't that many connections, because now you're just trying to keep them up and keep them happy. But that's the problem. You can't keep everybody happy. Go back to being the old you. I missed you when you were doing those other things. And the Emmas, not all the Emmas, there'll always be an Emma who will always support you no matter what. But they will say, hey, you're doing good. Just keep it up. But they'll be the little voices in the crowds. And it's like, it's hard to focus on those voices, but the real voice that you need to listen to is the one inside your head, the one inside your heart, the one that makes you who you are. And so it's really hard to hear those voices when the world asks so much of you. So people are doing this stuff and say, okay, now let's say we're this person is now 3 or 4 years into their YouTube social media journey. It doesn't matter what it is, where it is. Right. They're into this creative journey. They have to be this way. They go out in public now, and that persona is on. If there's a camera anywhere near, that persona is on. They're letting go of these things that made them specifically unique. And they are just saying, okay, I have to focus on this part of my life instead of who I truly am as a whole. And that repetition of constantly going out and constantly doing things changes them inside very much. Now, let's get to 5 years in. They're making money. One way or another, they're making money. They're doing it. And this is just an average. Not everybody makes money at 5 years, and not everybody doesn't. Like it's that, but this is an average, right?
Right.
Whatever it is that means to them, they're succeeding. Let's say that money, success, whatever. They're succeeding well in 5 years. Something's going to happen. There's always a break that starts to begin in about 5 years for all of us creators. You can't please everyone. And it is human nature for us to try to still get approval. And you will work to try to expand yourself, to try to help those people, or just try to grow like you're hitting a plateau, right? But you feel like that plateau, those are just the people that don't believe in you or whatever it is. But you drive it and to the point where like it starts to hurt you internally, because you're like, why can't I just break it? I see all these other people around me going. Well, the problem is all creators at that point start to look around at other creators and how they're doing better and how they're succeeding, and they're not looking at themselves. And the one thing a lot of these creators don't understand is like winners focus on winners, or winners focus on winning, and losers focus on winners, right? So like you put yourself in that mentality of like constantly looking at what other people are doing instead of like gung-ho on yours. But when you're new, you don't understand that. Well, here's where it gets nasty. This is the truth that's hard for all creators, and the only ones that come out of this, it's rare for them to come through. These are the ones who fall. 7 years is your fall. 7 years, you're gonna fall. Let's move to a different spot. Let's walk around some more. So 7 years, you go through the big fall of your career, and it's really hard, and it's really like you go into a dark place, and this fall. It's a nice little spot. Maybe I'll stand up on this rock over here.
There's a little forest path this way too. This direction.
Okay, I'll follow you. Yeah, so this fall, man, it's brutal. And the problem with the fall is a lot of people, they go, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I need to walk away. I need to go do something else. I can't handle this. My life is draining. And most people never come back. Most people just quit. Most people, they can't handle it, right? And then those who continue, a lot of them will continue to burn themselves out even more, to the point to where they're almost unrecognizable to themselves. Now, I say all of this because I went through this myself.
Oops.
You're good. You're walking backwards, man.
I know, right? I know this map like the back of my, oh wait, where did I end up here?
Like the back of your head?
Right, basically. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
This is the way.
Oh, this is the way. Okay. But yeah, so a lot of people will lose themselves. Now, I say all of this because I was there, because I did this.
Oh, yeah.
This is what I went through. I'm speaking from experience. Let's hang out here.
Yeah, I love it. We got some God rays behind you. Beautiful.
Okay. I'm speaking from experience, but I've seen it. It's not just me. I've seen it through so many creators. My fall happened because my personal life fell apart. My connections with my friends, I wasn't the same person. I wasn't going to the same parties anymore. I wasn't speaking the same. I had a different level of things that I had to do. And I don't know, it's really hard. And I became unrelatable to the people that were around me. My family, I didn't talk to my family very much because I was so deep in everything that I did. And I was so passionate and also weirdly happy about a lot of things I was doing. But trying to impress the world and help the world and all this stuff, after a while, the world started realizing Cory's not the same. They could go back to see my stuff 7 years prior to that and go, look how different he is. That must mean that this Cory we're seeing is not authentic.
Right,
That's not him. I don't want to watch him. Go back to who you used to be. I miss the old Cory. And you hear all of that and it tears you down. And so what do? You rebel, you try doing other things and you try to like mix it up harder. And then the farther you go, the worse it is. And that's why people stop and have to stop. And for me, what I did was I said, you know what? I can't handle this. This hurts so bad. I created another channel. It was a vlogging channel where I literally just said, I'm only going to show the world this part of my life, this little tiny spot of my life. And this is the excitement, is the over enthusiasm, is the wild, the crazy, is my, like when you can't hold yourself back from doing something, you know, that I don't remember what that's called, but like, you were like, I got to do this.
Impulse.
And impulsive, super impulsive. Thank you. That's it. So, I was super impulsive. So I did that channel, but also secretly, I didn't tell people. I wanted to vlog my life, video blog my life, to show myself what's happened and where am I going and how am I so broken? What are people seeing that I'm not? And how, like, I want to capture this so I can look back at myself and remind myself why this all went so bad. And man, I lost myself. I went so bad. I got a divorce, ended up getting with somebody who was behind the scenes. It was toxic. But I was like in this like self-hating, deep, dark place. And I did not want to give up this thing that I visualized, this world of changing the world. And I was like, I can't let it go, man. I'm important here. I don't know what this is, but I need to go through it. And I did. And until I crashed hard and I was like, yeah, I'm toast. Lex, I'm gonna be honest with you. I got in such a dark space, like things got really dark for me, really dark. And I had to call friends. I had to call them and hey, come please just come be with me right now.
Yeah.
Because I realized like, I was like, now I don't have money. Now I don't have the friends that I had. My family is distant. My audience is torn apart into pieces and I can't clean it up. And I'm a broken person. And I, you know, and then my relationship ended, which was like a great thing for me, but also I had nothing, man. And so life was just at the bottom, but I told myself, as you know, after I had my friends come over, I said, I have a reason. I have a purpose. Everything I'm going through, like this has to happen. This has to exist because I'm not the only one. Why was I successful at all with anything I've ever done? It's because people related to me. And why did they relate to me? Because I was just doing me, because I was just being who I was. So this hurt, all this pain, this is who I am. I'm going to accept this and I'm going to be open with this. And I need to share this because that's what's the most important. And that's what I did. I opened up and I said, that's it. I'm sharing it. I need to open up. And so, man, I churned video and all the things into this weird self-therapy thing. And there were times, man, I let some demons out and finally things happened. I promise I'll get back to the creator thing, but this is all important.
No, I love it. Yeah.
And eventually I came back to finding myself after I had no money, and I found this amazing woman who, like, I met her on Match.com. I literally just wanted to find. I wanted to find. I didn't want to go to a bar. I didn't want to go to a club. I didn't want to be recognized because I was still recognizable, even though I felt like I'd crashed. The world still knew who I was at that time, and so I didn't want anybody to be with me for who I was, because who I was who I was not. Because what people saw was not who it was that was on the videos. And so I met this girl on Match who did not know who I was. She was completely different than me. she was an engineer. I was like, you drive trains? What's that mean? No. But anyway, so she was really great. And then she was like, we boyfriend, girlfriend. And then she's like, hey, I got to move to Alaska. I was like, oh man. She's like, you want to come? I didn't question it. I said, I'll pack my things.
Dude.
And I moved, and we
Wow.
were so new. Anyway, this is now the rebirth of things.
Yeah,
This is how creators change. This is where it happens. This is the beauty and the magic that nobody really gets to see past 7 years because most people quit.
Right.
When you allow yourself to fall and you find the purpose inside of yourself and you return to the big reason, why am I doing this? When you find that why, everything comes back, and it comes back better, and it comes back new, and it's fresh. And it's like, what do they say? 7 years, every 7 years, our bodies actually change. Like all that.
All your cells. Yeah.
Yeah. Your internals and all that stuff. Years later, we're married. We've got kids now. We're not living in Alaska, which was fantastic, Alaska, but now we're in Oklahoma. Life has changed. And you know what? I've been through more of these things, not to the same extent of that first low that I had, but always higher lows. And it's always like this and never as dark. But I've learned through this that why you create is the single most important thing you can do as a creator. And that is what you have when you start, and that's what you lose when you succeed. And it isn't until you understand what that why is when you succeed that you succeed greater. But you also have to determine what is success. And you've got to be true to that, because that's what creators don't have right now, is a grasp on what success is. And creators that make a lot of money, I don't want to say names, but I've had some of my best friends in the world succeeded early and became multimillionaires. Like, I think like $30 million each one of them got.
Wow.
And I, for a long time, I was depressed because I was kind of supposed to be a part of that. But I didn't. That's a whole other story. Remember I told about the stories that nobody believes?
Yeah.
And I do this a lot, it seems. Anyway, so they turned into very bad depression and have never fully recovered. They're trying and they're trying and they're trying, and they lost. It's like they almost like sold their soul for the money that they got. And that money did nothing but make them really not happy. But that's because the why never came back, because they didn't fall in time. So anyway, going back, creators, what they need to understand is the why. All we know right now, all we see is what. That's what it is. We see what in our entire lives, not just the creator economy. You know what? Back out of what being a creator is. Look at everything we're doing with our lives. I had this great conversation with my father-in-law. So I'm just going to keep going. I had this great conversation with my father-in-law yesterday, as a matter of fact. We're burning the stump in my front yard, just getting it out of the ground because it's been bugging me. And I told him, I said, I told my father-in-law, I said, I wish I could have gotten to know your dad more before he died. He was 100 years old when he passed away, and I loved him.
Wow.
Keith was a great guy. But I had to take all of his old VHS tapes and convert them into digital, right? And I was like, I told my stepfather, I was like, or stepfather, father-in-law, I said, I wish I could have went and watched all of those VHS tapes and converted them earlier, so I could have had all that conversation with them. And he said, you know, Cory, what was really sad when my dad passed away was like all those things in his house, all those trophies and medals and things that he got for the years of things that he'd done, and all these knickknacks and things that they all meant so much to him. And then they just got given away or sold or donated. Like it didn't matter. Like nothing mattered. And I said, you know, that's the funny thing about this life, man, is nothing, no thing, no physical thing matters. This is going to go way deep, but this is going to relate to creators.
Yes.
Our reward for everything we do in our life is love, but not just love. It's experience. Everything we have in our life, that experience that we're having is our why. When you are old, hopefully you make it to old age. When you are old and you can't do all the things, all you can do is sit back and remember all the things you did, good, bad, whatever it was, but experiences. They can't be taken away. They can't be replaced, and they can't be sold. They just, wherever we go past this life is where they go with us, right? But that's all that matters. So all the things, even though those things may have been special to them, it's not about the thing. It's about what the memory was tied to said thing. Anyway, the point is, we as creators, as sheep, need to understand why we're doing this in the first place. It's for the memories, man. It's for the experience of doing something. It's for the connections that we have with other people. And while it may not be, oh, we're not making a lot of money, or oh, we're not famous on some TV show or whatever, like, you know what? Your own experience is your own experience, because if I gave you the things that I had, it wouldn't matter to you, man. Like, like this crocodile, this thing means the world to me and to my family and to my children. But if I gave this to my neighbor, they'd probably just throw it in the trash. Dude, this is pointless to them. Anybody. It's trash.
It's like, right. It's like stepping into somebody else's save game, right? It's like, oh man, I wish I could just get past this boss. And so you load up somebody else's save game where they're past the boss, and it's like, okay, this doesn't mean anything to me, right? Like, there's no joy, there's no fulfillment, because it's not the goal, or it's not the objective that is fulfilling. That's what we get in our head. And it's really interesting because, if people go in, you described this 7-year journey, which I love. It reminds me of the hero's journey, even like the, Joseph Campbell's, Hero with 1,000 Faces, where there's these stages that we see, for those who don't know, as an archetype across many, many, many stories, that the hero has to go through, whether it's Luke Skywalker or Aang, Avatar: Last Airbender. There is a death and a resurrection. They have to, die. They have to bring back the elixir, the thing that brought them life, right? There's these unique stages. And I love how you describe that, where it's like, this is just necessary, because until you get there, there's no prepping for this, right? It is an experience unto itself, right? Creating, being a creative leader, expressing your unique, your own unique identity through your art form. And so nothing can prepare you for that. I've had, single guys talk about not being ready for marriage or things like that. And my advice is basically like, how could you practice? How could you be ready? Right? Like, you can't be ready for something that you can't practice without doing it. Right? Like, it's just going to be stepping off the brink in faith and saying, okay, I'm ready because I've decided I'm ready, and I'll get ready as I fall through the air, create this creative process. There's a couple things I noticed in what you're saying that are just really impactful. That journey, you just have to go through it, right? But also, it probably didn't used to be 7 years, because never before could you go through that cycle as quickly as you can now, from total obscurity to worldwide, ubiquity, right? So everyone knowing your face when nobody knew you before. It could never happen as fast as it can happen now, right? And so we've all seen this with, maybe a child Disney actor, right? The kind of like fall and rebirth that they might have gone through, or just fall, right? Maybe they just fell into obscurity and depression and drugs. But it got to happen over a longer period of time. We might not see all of it, right? But now, again, more and more as the technology accelerates, this process accelerates. And so having people like yourself who can help people understand what they're facing is more important than ever.
Yeah. I mean, remember I said, losers focus on winners and winners focus on winning.
Yes.
If you understand what winning means to you, then you can understand the focus. All that winning means to me is making memories and doing good. That's it. When I'm old, dude, that's all I want. As humans, we need to look at our lives and our successes and challenges as the journey through order and through chaos. You start out with a need. You want something, you need, and then you need to go get that thing, and you chase it, and then after that, it's like as you're out there and you're trying to get whatever that thing is. That's that search. Like, think of our whole creator career, the search, and then finally you find it. you find that thing, and you're like, okay, this is what I want, and I'm here. And so there you are. That's where you've gone viral. You've got it. You take it. You run with it, and you're going right. All right, great. And then finally, when you return back to kind of who you are, but now you've got this thing. You're not the same as you were. Right, you're changed. This is the story circle. It's actually what I'm describing as a Dan Harmon story circle. So you come back changed. So you come back and you're changed because of like this. All these things have happened, but this change, that fall that I'm talking about, the crash would be the 7 years, would be like the between the return and change is understanding who you are.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of coming back to who you are. You have returned. You are brand new with this new change that is inside of you, and it's re-understanding, and it's going back through the order chaos. But yeah, I mean, that's how creators are. But yeah, again, like if a creator truly wants to succeed, it needs to be that they have a reason to create, and they need to understand what that is and hold on to that, but understand the deepest, like down to the very little tiniest light inside of them that began it all. Why are you doing this? And for me, it's memories, dude. Like I didn't realize what that is, but it's like when I die, I want to go, no, I did everything I was supposed to do. And I have lots of memory. I have so many memories. I don't know what's after this life, man. But if I can be laying on my deathbed and have so many memories to think about and to be happy about, that I have a hard time thinking about just how sad I am to leave it all. Like I want to go, yeah, that was great. What a ride, man. And that's what it's about. And because I've had a lot of people like die way earlier in my life, like a lot. And that's just what I want to give to the world is that, and that why, that reason, that all that matters is that, we look at everybody else's stuff and all their other successes, but again, winners focus on winning. What we're looking at over there is somebody else's winning, but we don't know if they're winning. They're probably chasing somebody else's winning. So who's winning?
Yeah.
You're looking at everything. Anyway, you get it. I'm just going in a circle now. But
no, I love this. Well, and for me, this connects very deeply because, personally, I have a deep conviction that we were made by a creative, personal God, right? And so, this goes deep, but we can see how, I think it's, especially as creators, you can tap into this idea that, one, as humans, we are naturally creative. I mean, whether you're in a creator space or not, there is something unique about that I believe we got from our creator. But also that we each have a unique identity, right? We are not simply, I don't believe, we are the deterministic result of, millions of years of atoms bumping into each other, right? Or at least not just that, right? Again, I believe, and I think in order to understand our motivation as creators, there is there's an element of having to believe that I have some spark that is unique to me, right? If you can, and this is what I hear you saying too, is that like we do each have this unique identity, we do each have this unique mission, purpose, and through this creative journey, so many people, they start to see some landmark in the journey as the point, as the purpose, and lose that initial spark. Because initially it's all about the spark, because that's all you have. That's all you have. You haven't made anything. Nobody's telling you what you should make or shouldn't make yet. It's just, that's all I've got, right? And you go out and you do all these things, and it can become about that process of bringing something to the world or about achieving, certain landmarks. But then what you're talking about, feels like, is this rediscovery, but at the same time, the spark has changed because we keep changing as people, right? It's never going to be exactly the same. And we're constantly, discovering our identity, building on our identity. And so it's interesting because you're not going to go back to where you were at the beginning. You can't, right? That doesn't exist anymore. So what is this reconciliation process of understanding, well, where was I then? And how has that changed? And what's all the fluff? What are the things on top that I thought I needed or that I thought were the purpose, but they're just part of the journey?
Yeah. It's no matter what you believe in. This is just me talking. No matter what you believe in, you're right. Whatever in that, like if that's what you believe in and you do that, like believe in it. Just believe. Put your heart into that. Believe into that. I know that's like a weird thing to say, but like I live. I'm learning more and more and more every day to just always live now. Like now, this is it. This is
Right.
there is no such thing as tomorrow, and there's no such thing as
Nope.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Those are like they're both man-made. They're just something that our
Abstract
brains
concepts.
use. Yeah, they're abstract concepts. So it's like all you can do is what you are doing. This is it. So what can you do right now? What is it you can do right now to forward what you can imagine?
Yeah.
Because imagination is your future, but imagination is not your guarantee of whatever. But what can you do
Right.
now that makes it real? Okay, do this thing
Yeah.
right here. And I think that's what a lot of people get lost in is they're so busy planning. They're so busy looking forward that they're not doing the thing now that leads
Right.
to what's supposed to be there that's not guaranteed. And, success, again, it goes back to what is success, and
Yeah.
success is right now.
Right.
The perception of whatever happened is, you want to determine that, but like I just, that's why, like, even when I'm old and I die, like, yeah, I want to think about the old things, but everything that happened, those are just rewards that my brain says, yeah, good job, but still in this moment, if I'm going to choose this moment when I'm old, when I'm actually old, and this moment will come when I'm old, I will choose happiness. I will choose for that moment to be the best last moment.
Yeah,
So.
no, 100%. Finding that right balance of living now.
Yep.
But being able to look to the future and look to the past, whether it's learning from these things, right? Or hoping for these things, right? Hoping to have, a vision for yourself. And this is what I want, but not letting that define you, not letting the past define you either. That balance is definitely a unique thing as a creator, especially with how impactful I think nostalgia, right? Who I used to be, or the OG Cory, right, can be on a creator is like, oh, I wish I had the old Cory. It's like, well, frankly, he doesn't exist anymore.
No,
right?
He's dead. He's
right,
dead.
Right. But there's something there. There's some truth in that I can bring to today, right? So yeah, that is the balance of a creator, is that past, present, future, living now, but understanding the import of this vertical that we live in, right? This plane that we're walking along. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. If creators can stop every now and then and just really stop and then go, good job, me. This is, okay, there are some things that I don't like maybe, and there are a lot of things that I do like, and wow, this is really great. Like I'm actually, today I'm in this position. For those watching, I honestly, I've been slammed. I've been so slammed. I've been so busy. I'm actually really stressed out right now with all the things that I have. But the outside perception of everything that I'm doing, everybody's like, man, Cory is winning. Like, oh, Cory just turned down a $5 million offer for his IP. True story. Here I am falling into that thing again, where like that one time I almost got 30 million. And now here I am, I just turned down 5, and it's just like, oh my gosh. But I'm not a millionaire. Like I don't consider myself like insanely wealthy. I consider myself wealthy, but not like, in the terms that other people would think. Right. But
you own your time, you spend time with your family.
Yeah, I have all this. Like, I get to do silly crocodile videos. I get to make these cool things. I get to be creative. I get to do all these things. That's the wealth. That's the happiness. And yet I still feel the stress. And I still understand that I have all these other things. But like I realize them, I recognize them. And again, I accept them. I don't bury them. I bring them out and I say, okay, here are the things I'm stressed out about. And it's okay. This feeling is going to pass. I will allow myself to feel this right now. I will accept that this is happening. And as a creator, I'm going to say, look, where am I now compared to where I was? And maybe where I was bigger a long time ago. Yes, it was. But you know what? Am I happier right now? Do I feel very good right now? And what would I have? I have a lot of really great things in my life. Now, also, hey, you know what I have now that I didn't have then? All those great memories and all those things that I've done, all those rewards, right? So I'm excited for the fact that like I'm not done living. Now is still here. I can create more rewards for myself by just simply doing and being. And all right, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. And I don't know. This is like on the deeper side of creators, but like the success comes from the whole story, that whole story circle, the crash, the burn, the rebirth, the phoenix. There's another reason I have a phoenix on me, is I'm reborn through the ashes constantly. The change. you know, and it's also, I live forever through the inspiration I give others throughout my lifetime. So it's like, that's, you know, my ripple that'll
I
always
love
exist.
that. And that's another huge thing that I just final point here on creators as a class of people. I think people, especially today, sometimes forget about generational impact as a storyteller, right?
Mhm.
Where it's not just about, you know, what did I do in my 30s or my 20s, right? Like it is tough, man, with guys like Mr. Beast out there crushing it before 30 years old and just hitting huge numbers. And, you know, just on a metric scale, it's easy to be like, yeah, he's got all the numbers, right? Like he's doing crazy, crazy things. He's not even 30, whatever, at each stage of his journey. But then at the same time, understanding that some of the people who had the most generational impact as creators are guys like Tolkien, right? Guys like C.S. Lewis, or people who, and Tolkien to me is the best example because he didn't finish most of his books. He finished like 4 of them. His son finished the rest of them. All this, like, you know, deep lore and things like that. Christopher, his son, worked on it, which means he had to have a good relationship with his son. He had to train his son in his craft, right? And his son had to admire him to the extent that he wanted to carry that on, right? Like, you know, Tolkien's modern body of work does not exist without those 3 things, right? And people don't think about that when they're building a creative career. They think, you know, you don't think of like, well, is my son ready? You know, what is my relationship like with my son or my daughter? How does that impact my creative work and this body that I brought into the world, right? Are they a part of it? And I love seeing the way that you have brought your children into the work that you're creating. It's like, yeah, your children are a part of it, right?
Mhm.
They're learning alongside you, right? And again, a different kind of prosperity. Like you said, like to me, I think prosperity is I own my time with my family, right? Like I don't
Yeah.
have to go into an office. I don't have to me, that's prosperity, right? Is I get to be a
Mhm.
part of my children's education. So yeah, and that to me is generational impact as a creator.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing too, it's like when we think about impact, I know there's a lot of creators out there that they want to make an impact. They want to matter. They want to make a
Right.
difference. But you know what? Again, it doesn't come it this is so crazy. Because I'm telling you this now, reminding myself. I do this a lot and I'm open about this. My greatest achievements in life outside of family, my probably biggest achievement is the number of people that I have truly impacted in my life and inspired, and how I will never know about. I will never see.
Yeah.
I will never understand the ripples have went through, and I've heard many stories. But here's a big one, man. When I say I'm the first professional YouTuber, it's true. But you know who cares? You know who honestly cares? Nobody. Nobody cares. There's nobody following me around asking me questions about what that means. There's almost no documentation on the fact that this is even a thing. Even though, like, ask any child, what do you want to be when you grow up? YouTuber usually is one of the top answers.
Right.
Like I mean, come on. It used to be firefighters and policemen and all these other. Now it's like it's been YouTubers for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and like, but how is it like? Even though I have this.
Right. There's no
Nobody
YouTuber 101 where people are like, oh yeah, and Cory Williams was the first dude, right?
But nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Right.
But the reason why nobody cares is because we all have our own things to care about. And all of that is to me, to the world, is a little piece of plastic, a little 3D printed thing that the world doesn't like. Oh yeah, that's cute. That's it. It's a talking point. And it's, for me, it's like, oh, okay, it gives a little legitimacy, but like, what are you gonna do? You look it up. If you look up on you anywhere right now, who's the first professional YouTuber, they're not going to show me. They're going to show a plethora of other people who've just been doing it for a long time.
Right.
Or the first guy to make a video. Like that's you know, but even that guy, what's his name?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know, we know I know him, but he was like a staff. He was a staffer.
You're the exception though.
Yeah, no, I knew the founders of YouTube, and I'm still friends with them. But the thing is, like, you have to be on your journey for yourself, rewarding yourself. You have to stop and you have to breathe and you have to take those moments. Look, Mr. Beast. Yeah, we all look at him as the most successful, but I'll tell you this right now. I don't know him. I've never met him, but I'll give him like 10 years. He's going to look back and go, man, there's so much stuff I wish I could have done differently. There's so many things I missed on, life things, maybe relationships. We've already been hearing horror stories about how people have been treated, but that just comes with the territory. You can't make everyone happy. And he's got a huge business, and and I think he is actually I respect Jimmy. And I respect the people that work for him and with him and around him. But I also believe that there's probably, just by all the people I've known in my history of this stuff, and a lot of people, very successful, famous people, there's a part of him that he just has yes people all around him, a lot of yes men. And it's really hard to stay focused on who you truly are as a person when you're so busy and you're not breathing. And that guy does not breathe. He does not take time to breathe. Man, God, there's another guy I'd love to talk about, but I can't. He'd be such a great example to talk about, but I don't have the heart to. But anyway, but he's another successful creator who was like, he was the Jimmy Donaldson. He was such a big guy and so just unstoppably popular. And then bad things happened. And I was there to witness it on the real side. No, I'm going to say it. I think it's important. And this is part of my story too, so I can say it. A guy named Toby Turner, Tobuscus. He was huge. He was big. Really good friend of mine. I still talk to him. And he's been through some stuff, and more stuff than anyone would know. So deep, dude. Like, and the world has the wrong idea of who Toby is, but the problem is like the world has made its decision. And a lot of the decision has changed who Toby is because of the decisions. And other personal things have happened with Toby that I was there firsthand for, that the world got wrong. And it's like, oh man. But the crazy thing is, dude, even before all this bad stuff happened, and you can look up Toby Turner and find out all this stuff, right? But even before it all happened, I told Toby, I said, Toby, man, I love you. I love everything you're doing. I respect you. And you are one of the most creative people I've ever met in my life. I want you to listen to me. Please listen to me. I've been through this. I see what's going to happen. Before it happened, I saw it all. And I saw the yes men around him. And I saw these people. And I was at those parties. And I was like, Toby, listen to me, buddy. Come on, buddy. But he couldn't hear me because it was all so loud, because he wasn't taking that moment to stop and think. Yes. And now Toby is, I still think he is one of the most creative people, but he is so lost. And again, Toby, I love you. If you're seeing this, like, understand this. Will it ever be back to what he was? No, he'll probably never be, but he'll be different. Again, chaos and order, the whole cycle. This has to be
death and rebirth.
But his is harder because he was so much bigger. And just so as a creator, as a healthy creator, it's not about being a creator. It's about being a human. It's about living a life. It's about doing what is right for your heart and for your only time on this planet. You don't come back. This is it. Yeah. I mean, if you do, maybe you do. I don't know. Whatever it is. But, the point is now focus on doing good now. You want to be a great creator? Focus on who you are. Don't let that go, and enjoy the whole process and embrace the suck.
Yes. Amen. Yeah. Dude, I love that. That's huge. It's such an impactful note to end on. I feel like this is again now more important than ever, because this opportunity is there for people. There's so much opportunity right now to create, to amplify these stories, these experiences. So knowing how to navigate that, not just from a technological side, right? Like, yeah, it's great. Like, cool. I know how to, do the virtual production in Unreal Engine, or I can generate stuff with AI or whatever it is. But as a human, how do I get through that? That's huge.
Yeah. That's life. Life. All this is, we just had a talk on life. We didn't just talk about creators. We talked about life. This is just life.
Yeah.
Creators is just an aspect of storytelling. That's all.
Because they're humans, which can be so hard to lose amidst, the metrics and the fame and the opportunity. Is like, these are real people, right? With breakable parts, just like the rest of us. So yeah, dude, Cory, I really appreciate you sharing your story. This is just such a small fragment of it as well. We're gonna have to do a part 2 at some point, dive into more of what you're building on the creator side as well. For people who want to follow more of what you're putting out, right now? I know I follow you on LinkedIn, Cory Williams. Where are some other places people can follow what you're creating?
I mean, really, the best place to go is just daydreamstudios.com, because if that's just a, there it all is.
Yep.
And if you have kids, between the ages of 2 and 8, crazy, sillycrocodile.com.
Heck
All
yeah.
safe, good, fun stuff.
Beautiful. Yeah. Cory, it's always a pleasure, brother. Really appreciate this time, and see you in the next one.
Thanks for having me.